It is 0 hour 30, Universal Time. I'm Jim Tedder in Washington. The Iraqi Parliament has completed another meeting with new Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, again failing to present his new cabinet. Disagreement among Shiite, Sunni, and Kurdish political leaders is slowing the formation of a new government. They cannot agree on who should control the oil, defense, and interior ministries. A Shiite political party and a Sunni Arab alliance threaten to withdraw from any future government if they are not satisfied with the cabinet list. Mr. al-Maliki has one more week to present his cabinet before President Jalal Talabani has the right to nominate another prime minister. The United States has said a united Iraqi government is important to end violence in the country. Earlier, 33 people were killed in a series of attacks across Iraq. European Union foreign ministers are preparing to meet in Brussels to work on a plan they hope will influence Iran to stop its suspected nuclear weapons program. The plan is expected to include ways to help Iran develop a civilian nuclear program. Earlier, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad said his government would reject any European offer that requires Iran to end its nuclear activities. And the Bush administration dismissed calls for direct talks with Iran about its nuclear program. National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley said on an American news broadcast that the United Nations is a better place for such negotiations. Iran says the Sunni Muslim group Jundullah has claimed responsibility for the murders of 12 civilians in the southeastern part of the country. A top police official reportedly said the attack was Saturday, about 200 kilometers west of where the borders of Iran, Pakistan, and Afghanistan meet. Iranian officials say Jundullah is thought to operate from southwestern Afghanistan. The group has been linked to violence in southeastern Iran, including the killing of at least 21 people in March. Israeli attacks in the West Bank have killed 7 Palestinians, including a top member of Islamic Jihad. Israeli forces surrounded a house near the town of Jenin, searching for militants. The soldiers fired their weapons when the suspects refused to surrender and started shooting. The army later destroyed the house. Those killed include Elias al-Ashkar. Israeli officials say he was a top Islamic Jihad terrorist responsible for several bomb attacks inside Israel. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas called the Israeli attack an act that will lead to more violence. Some Indonesian villagers are returning to their homes near the volcano Mount Merapi in violation of a government order. The villagers say they will watch for natural signs that show when the volcano is ready to explode. Officials say they cannot keep them out by force, but are urging them to keep transportation nearby for a quick escape. On Saturday, Indonesian officials ordered thousands of people who live near the volcano to leave the area. They are staying in schools and government buildings, waiting for a possible explosion. A United States lawmaker says the Bush administration has failed to fully inform Congress about an anti-terrorism program to collect information about telephone calls. Senator Arlen Specter says lawmakers should be told about the size of the program and that it is legal. An American newspaper reported last week that the National Security Agency was collecting information on millions of telephone calls within the country. Civil rights groups have condemned the program as illegal. They say the law requires officials to get a court order before gathering such information. National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley says the government's efforts to fight terrorism are within the law. President Bush has told Mexican President Vicente Fox that military troops will not be placed on the border between the two countries. Mr. Fox telephoned Mr. Bush to express concern about reports that the United States was considering sending National Guard troops to the border. An administration statement said President Bush told him the United States considers Mexico to be a friend and that military troops are not being considered. Mr. Bush is to speak to the nation on Monday about immigration reform. The Election Committee in Chad has confirmed the re-election of President Idriss Déby in a vote held 2 weeks ago. Officials said Mr. Déby won more than 77% of the vote. This gives him a third term in office. He helped approve a constitutional amendment last year that permitted him to seek a third term. African observers say the May 3rd election was free and fair. Election officials said more than 70% of the legal voters in Chad took part. Mr. Déby is a former army chief who seized power in 1990. He also won disputed elections in 1996 and 2001. United States weather experts have warned of severe flooding in several northeastern states following heavy rains. The governors of Massachusetts and New Hampshire have declared emergency conditions. They also called on the National Guard to help citizens affected by the flooding. Flood warnings are also in effect in the state of Maine. On Saturday, an airplane carrying Senator Ted Kennedy was struck by lightning during a flight across Massachusetts. The aircraft lost electric power. The pilot took control of the plane and landed it safely. And now, briefly, here again is the major news of the hour. The Iraqi parliament has met to try to form a new government, but the new prime minister has again failed to name his new cabinet. European Union foreign ministers are preparing to meet in Brussels to work on a plan they hope will influence Iran to stop its suspected nuclear weapons program. And Israeli attacks in the West Bank have killed 7 Palestinians, including a top member of Islamic Jihad. And that's the news in VOA Special English. This is Jim Tedder reporting.